Welcome back to episode 152. Zabbo,
152, racking them up.
There's been a lot of controversy over the last few episodes. I didn't know how many we'd done.
Was there a lot of controversy? I didn't realize.
Oh, a few people. People text all the time. They're like, "Hey,
that was 151."
Exactly. That was actually 151. 3 people told me that. I'm like, really? Get a life, folks. But if you listen to this, they probably do need to get a life. Let's be honest.
True, yeah. But we're up to 152.
152.
152. Here we are. Yes. We're back.
Yeah, you've trimmed your beard. You look good.
It was getting a little scraggly. I had to clean up a bit, and my ears are freshly waxed. My beard is freshly trimmed.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm very excited. We got a very good episode.
We do.
Loads of Caddie stories. When you work a wee bit of bench, you get a lot of stories.
You know, we were talking about that, you and I. We haven't had a ton of requests as of late. I don't know what's going on, and we've done a lot of bench work, and it's not always all it's cracked up to be.
Maybe a sign that the economy is going to take a shit.
You know, I was kind of thinking that because the gratuity certainly indicated that, and there were some interesting people, and
Well, I've got loads of stories. I'm sure you got loads of stories too.
I do. I actually, I kind of caught the golf bug again. As far as like,
caught the golf bug.
Well, I'm actually caring about hitting the ball again. I'm practicing all the time hitting. I got a few stories based on that.
Lovely. So we both get stories. We'll start with that, and then we'll have the usual mailbag questions. Quite a lot of input actually from the listeners, and we'll have our usual shout outs. So crack away, because you told me this the other day. You didn't tell me at all, but you're back hitting golf balls.
I am back hitting golf balls.
Shanking?
God, you had to bring that. I was hoping you weren't going to mention that, but yes, actually, I have. I had one at the wee course, my home course, and I was on the second tee box, and I'll get into this a little later. But so I go through my routine, and I line it up, stand behind it, like laser focus. It's a replica of the 7th hole at the big course, and the 9th tee box is quite 90 degrees away from the second tee box, and there's like an 8-some of guys. I'm the only one out there, and there's an 8-some of guys on the they were actually on the 8th green, which is even further right than the 9th tee box. I got my earphones in, line it up, step up, and right off the hosel, going beelining for him. 4! They're looking around like, where's this ball coming from? And they go shooting in between all of them. I'm like, I put my head down, and I didn't even go over and retrieve the ball. I just kind of walked down the second hole, hit another one. Luckily, it was kind of towards the green, and walked away. But, there's been a few of those off the hosel sideways, and it's pretty crazy.
What do you think, that you getting too close to the ball?
Well, they say the shank is the closest thing to a perfect shot, and as you know me, I'm damn near perfect. So, I don't know what it is. It's not frequent, but it reappears from time to time, and it happens I'm practicing chipping for an hour, and I'm how good my chipping is.
Oh yeah, world class.
But I've been chipping a lot. I've been chipping well, but it rears its head every once in a great while. But I was on the range like a week ago. I was hitting ball after ball, just beating balls, and the caddy parking lot is not too far. Mm-hmm. It's kind of a shortcut if you walk through where caddy parking is through the driving range down to where the caddy waiting area is. It's a shortcut, so a lot of caddies walk that way. I'll
just say, any caddies listening, if there's any damage to your car from a golf ball, it's probably from Zabbo. Okay, so
good point, but actually, could be some truth to that. But anyways, so I put my earphones on, keep my head down, hit balls, and I see caddies walking by, and a lot of times, most of the times, they're not going to see me, or if they do, they're going to see I have my headphones on and keep walking. And I saw, we've talked about him on the podcast a few times before, our good friend Mac, who's
Mackie boy,
hell of a caddy, legendary caddy. And I kind of see him out of the corner of my eye, and I'm hitting balls, and I'm like, I'm not gonna put my head up, I'm not gonna say. And then I'm just keeping my head down, hitting balls, and I see out of the corner of my eye, he's looking at me, like pulling his hands out. He's like, get your earphones out, and he gives me it was like a 20-minute conversation on what I need to do to practice.
Okay.
And we've talked about this before. Like Matt, there's a lot of stuff that goes into everything he does, caddying and anything. Yeah. And he's telling me all these things. He's like, yeah, I can't tell you verbatim what he said to me, but he was like, Zabbo, you're a good enough player. You got to stop beating ball after ball. You got to get behind it. You got to look to where you're hitting. Pick out a target. You got to go step in from behind it, get into routine on every single shot, and step up there and hit the ball. You're too good to be practicing like this. You need to have some purpose to your practice. And I'll be damned, but Mac left, and I did it every single shot, and I had a hell of a practice session.
Really?
Other than the one I shanked when I did that.
I'll tell you, I worked with him last week.
Yeah, he's amazing.
He called me Jordan. The players called me Colin and Connor.
Yeah,
he was calling me Jordan.
That's
and I'm
great.
thinking, I've known you 20-something years, mate. Come on. But
he's awesome, man. For the right person, and most of the people are the right people. If you can get by the eccentricities that he carries about him, he is an amazing caddy, and he's a good person.
It's the same thing every single time. The look in the players' faces in the first green. So I'll work with him 1, 2, 3, or 4 times a year, just the way that things fall, and I quite enjoy it. Well, I really enjoy it a lot. He talks in rhymes. I have no idea what he talks about.
He's got some crazy things he says that come. If you listen to all the words, there's some crazy things that come out of his mouth.
Okay, we got a little dripper here. Nicholas liked to drip it. Nicholas, and these guys are like, who's Nicholas?
Yeah,
and I was like, I think he means Jack Nicholas, and I don't know why he's bringing his name into your golf, but he mentioned Nicholas 12 times the other day, because I did count. But I always tell the players in the first green, I says, listen, just kind of, because they always have the same look in their face.
Of
like,
course,
what's going on here?
Yeah.
I said, just try and scoop through the bull, and then he does. He's very, very good.
He is very good caddy. It was a treat to have a lesson from one of the best caddies out there.
Yeah, he stopped chewing tobacco as well.
Oh, did he? I didn't even notice.
I said, when did you stop chewing? And he said, 2016. I was like, 2016? Because he's telling me why he stopped. And then I was like, but you were chewing last year. And he goes, I know. I says, well, why did you say 2016? He says, I thought you said, I said, what did you think I said? He said, I thought you said stop caddying a tour. But he just went, continued telling his story.
Yeah.
I asked that question. He thought he's telling he's telling a story about mouth cancer and having his tonsils out. I ask a question of when he stopped chewing. He thinks I've said,
when did you stop caddying
the tour?
Yeah.
He says 2016, then continues his story on.
Yeah.
So he didn't even bat an eyelid. So
that's what he's like. That's all you need to know about the guy. Good dude. Great caddy.
I think I might have been with him with some of these guys that I was caddying for. I had a very interesting couple of weeks off the bench where the rules went out the door with these groups of guys. Right?
No golf rules like
Yeah, they're just very strange the way they had them. The first group was a group of lads from Minnesota.
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 Don't you know?
They play at a place called Chaska Town Course, which is a wee public course.
Great golf course, yeah.
Oh, wow. So you've
I'm very familiar with Chaska.
You've never heard of that one. You think that's okay, but you'll call, what was the place that you called?
Muni?
Dirt Track Muni? What did you call it?
What did I call
Dave
it? Dog track Muni,
yeah. Well, anyway, Chaska Town Course, that's up in Minnesota. This was Mark's 50th birthday. Mark is a lad who used to caddy. He was a caddy for 7 years growing up, and he said it was his favourite ever job. Great lad.
Yeah, we hear that all the time. Yeah.
Well, we do, but great to caddy for someone that is a proper caddy that understands his bag was incredibly light. If he's left and someone else is right, he just grabs a club. Mm-hmm. Then he looks at me when the other guy I'm caddying for is not grabbing clubs. And in this case, it was his brother-in-law.
Give him the stink eye.
He really did. Yeah. And then he was like, look at this idiot.
Yeah, what are you doing? Come on,
grab a club. He's like, why is he putting the putter in the bag after a par 3 and then he doesn't grab the driver? Does he think it's going to be another par 3?
Maybe tell your brother that. Don't tell me.
Now, the first rule actually involved him. He was happy to just go and pee anywhere. Now, do we have rules on peeing?
I mean, technically, yes.
They're unwritten rules, but, if you're going to take a pee, where would you go?
Probably close to a tree or so.
Well, number one's the bathroom.
Yeah, number one. Good point. Yeah, if that's your first option.
Number two, tree, bush.
Yeah.
So this is a Sunday morning, big course, 7th hole.
Okay.
Side of the green, just whipped it out and just starts draining.
I mean, the views are nice.
And then he starts blaming everyone for looking at him, saying, "Oh, you're okay." And I was like, "Well, okay." Next one. 14th fairway, middle of the 14th fairway, par 5 up the hill.
Big one.
And I'm kind of staring, and all I hear is this kind of it's the type of thing you don't expect to see or hear.
Mm-hmm.
This rain kind of waterfall effect in the middle of the fairway. You just pee in the middle of the fairway.
Wow,
number 2.
That's bold.
Then I got a little video I'll show you later where on 17 green, the pin is cut to the right. My mate John is reading a putt.
Don't tell me he's peeing into the bunker.
He has the scorecard in his hand. He's no handing it, and he's peeing in the side of the green.
It sounds like this guy needs to see a urologist.
I really was drinking a lot. But there was another guy in the group, Joe. Now, this is one that you'll enjoy. He's from Minnesota, and he says he's Italian. But I was like, so you're from New York then, Joe? Because with all those people that
of course
say they're Italian. And go, oh, yeah, I'm Italian. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Fake Italians.
So why you got a New York accent? Called him out. He had his own rules as well. He kept on giving himself putts.
Sounds like an Italian.
I says, why are you doing that? He says, because I'm angry. That was his excuse for taking putts.
That was his excuse.
That was his excuse.
I'm angry, so I get to take the putt.
He just takes them.
Yeah.
Next up was this group from Canada. So it must be a thing about going north.
Oh, yes, eh?
Bunch of boys from Ontario.
Ontario? Yeah.
Is that Toronto?
I think so, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, we're going to get
8 of them.
bashed on our Canada geography. I
was caddying in a group with a boy called Rich, Trevor, Jim, and Bill.
Okay, this is totally separate group we're talking
Totally
about.
Separate group, but they all talk the same. They all talk like that. No, they don't talk like South Africans.
That's not Canadian.
That's not Canadian. hey, up here, up in Ontario.
Just do your Minnesota. It's the same thing.
Minnesota is all the same to us. Well, I've got a guy called Jim, and I've got a guy called Trev. And I thought I'd lost them early. They're here for 4 days or whatever, and they're on the drink. And I thought I'd lost them early because I'm telling them, downhill putt, hit it 20%. This is the second hole. Hit it 20% because they're above the hole.
They tap it and leave it.
Well, of course, they can't tap it. I think they putt in sand up there.
Gotcha.
Because, they're hitting it 10 feet past.
Gotcha.
12 feet past.
Seen
both
that
of
before,
them.
yeah.
And I'll got to be honest, some of the golf was appalling. Like, it was really, really bad.
Yeah.
They were getting angry, and I thought I'd lost them. I thought they were going to turn the anger towards me, but it was just because I think
self-directed,
they were feeling rough.
Yeah.
I saw one gimme all day. One gimme in the 17th green.
They just weren't giving each other putts, or?
I think it was Jim said to me, well, we're kind of strict in that one. Now, this is after the boy Bill gives himself a breakfast ball on 18T.
We play by the rules in this group.
but we're kind of strict in the gimmies.
Yeah.
But the guy Bill, he was the best player in the group. He's taken the score. He's in the 15th hole. The big guy Rich, who would laugh at anything, he was actually a really good value. They were all good value, to be honest. Mm-hmm. Rich was anything you said he'd laugh at. So maybe he wasn't all there. But Rich was in the 15th and he's chopping about in the rough way left.
Uh-huh.
And Bill says to him, "Hey, what did you get there?" And Rich says he got a 6. Aye, you're boz. no chance it was a 6. He says, "What about that swipe in the rough?" And I've never heard this. This was fantastic. Talk about the rules, right? He says, Rich says, "I never touched the ball." He said, "I went straight underneath it, so it doesn't count."
There was intent, but I'm still not going to count it.
Unbelievable.
That's classic.
So
the way we bastardize the game.
I know the Canadians, guys from Minnesota, no rules, make up your own rules, and it's like the Koreans when they play Wolf, Canadian Wolf.
Canadian Wolf's even different.
Oh man, they just people making up their own rules. It's just incredible what we see.
Well, I had another group that you've been a part of before, and kind of a shit show. And you were fired off this one, so I had to get another caddy. And he calls me up. He's like, they didn't have the tee times, and they got them the night before. And he's like, "We'll see you at 7:20 tomorrow morning, bright and early. See you there." And I get there, and he's not there, but I know the other guys in the group, and they're all there, and they got like a substitute fill-in for him. And he's like, "Well, his back's bad. He's not going to play. He's not going to play here or the wee course. He's just going to play the big course." I'm like, he's not going to play here or the wee course. He's just going to play the big course. I'm like, all right, whatever. I'm going to get, I know he's going to take care of me eventually. I'm going to get paid the same. He's not even there the first day. And then he's like, I'm going to play tomorrow. So I'm like, okay. So we're at the wee course. And I have this guy, the guy I was supposed to caddy for originally with the bad back. He's going to try to gut it out. The substitute's riding in his own cart with his bag on the cart. He's not even playing. And then I have another guy who's playing that I'm caddying for. So just bear with me. I know this is getting a little confusing. So
very confusing. You sound like Mac right now.
I know. So we get to the turn, and my guy with the bad back's like, "I can't play anymore. I'm done. We're going to sub in the other guy." So he comes in, and he's been drinking all day and is hammered. So my guy leaves. His bad back hurts him. He's like, I'll pay you tomorrow. Don't worry about it. I'm going to take care of you. You know, I'm like, okay, whatever, bro. So he takes off. So originally I have a double for 2 guys. And we get to the 17th hole, and the substitute, who I told you was hammered and drinking nonstop, is getting more hammered. He can't hit the ball. He's not hitting the ball anymore. And my guys look at him. I'm like, I know what's going to happen. He's about 2-3 minutes from balling. He's going to start breaking down and crying. And sure as shit, we're standing on the green, and I see him over, and his head's down, and his hat's in his hand, and he's crying. And I'm like, oh no. So I'm working with our boy Eddie, and Eddie's caddying for the other 2, and my guy was like, look, I gotta bring him in. Don't worry about it. There's 3 or 4 holes to go. He gave me some money. He's like, I gotta bring him in. So I'm standing. I start off with a double, and I'm on the 16th tee, and I have no players anymore. It was the most bizarre thing ever. And day 3, my other guy showed up, played all 18 holes, and I got paid. So it was a bizarre experience. It was very, very bizarre. He was I guess
Why did he start crying?
Well, I guess
was his golf that bad?
it was worse than that, dude.
Awful.
He stopped playing many holes previous. Like, he was just drinking and having fun sitting in the cart. But my guy saw the wheels turning, and I guess he had some reasons for crying. He lost some family members somewhat recently, and he said when he drinks, he tends to do this, and he gets sentimental and starts crying. And he's like, I got to get him out of here. This is going to go south. You need to put him back in his room. And I'm like,
put him back in his room.
All right, see you later. I'm done. It was so Eddie and I just rode with Eddie and his other 2 players, and we finished around, and it was pretty crazy. It was a weird one for sure.
I've often gotten you'd have a job in a corporate thing, and then the guys have to leave, and then you're left with
they're flying out or something. Usually it's not some guy that's breaking down in tears and has to be carted off the course. But actually, speaking of bizarre ones, I have one even more bizarre than that it happened a little bit ago. It actually carried over. I talked about those Australians, the real rippers.
Oh, the real ripper there,
So I picked them up after this loop. So a buddy of Man Bun and I's, Patrick Horseman, who actually really good player. You look up Patrick Horseman. He played on like the EPT tour in Europe, made the Challenge Tour, won a few events over there. He caddied on tour, a PGA Tour for a while. But now he like sells insurance or whatever. But we used to caddy with him, which is pretty funny. But he's a really good amateur player out of Utah now. You can look him up. Really good player. So he sends me these guys. He's like, they're big time, clients of mine, big time guys from mine in Utah. He sent like months in advance. Man Bun and I gonna set you up for a couple days. They're playing, one of the other courses out there. I set them up on that, and so Man Bun and I show up for like a 7:30 loop, and we get there. Gary in the pro shop comes down and, hey man. He's like, those guys aren't taking caddies. I'm like, what? I'm like, he set this up like 3 months ago. He's like, yeah, they don't want to take caddies, but they still want to pay you. I'm like, music to my ears. You're going to pay me and I'm not going to work. I've never had this. I've had like the corporate you get paid, but these guys, he's like, he realized that Patrick set you up with these guys, but they don't want to take caddies. So they're going to pay you and you can just leave. I'm like, sure, see you later. And then Man Bun goes, I'm going to go down there and just introduce myself to him. And I'm like, no. I'm like, Man Bun, don't do it. Don't fall for the trap. They want to pay us the bag fee. Let's get out of here and make an exit. And that's what we did. And then I went off and I worked at the Wii course and picked up a 4-day job. It was glorious. But
that's ridiculous.
A couple of weird ones as of late. But unfortunately, no Chipotle executives since the last podcast, which is unusual.
Hey, did you see the CEO of Chipotle's left and gone to Starbucks?
I did not see that. Did he really? Wow.
Expect the quality to get even worse now.
Well, the quality's great. The portions, I did see they are scaling back the portions, which is understandable. They give you really large portions to begin with. But.
Nowhere close to what it used to be 20 years ago. Right. I'll tell you, I'm going to finish in this one, Zabbo, right? Because you've heard maybe your guy with the that was crying.
Okay.
It's like the 7 steps to grief. Right. I think
acceptance,
denial, anger,
acceptance,
blah blah blah. Right. Well,
anger.
I watched the steps of caddying. It was slowly watching a caddy lose interest in a loop and tap
slowly.
It did. It was a process over 18 holes because it's a corporate job. The golf's appalling. Like he'd one guy who was just appalling, who wanted to squeeze every last drop out of the round sometimes when you get to 13, 14 blows, just pick it up, mate.
Yeah, let's
move on. Enjoy the view.
Yeah.
But he's spoiling it for everyone. We were a 3-ball, so it was slower. But this guy was killing us. But it's like the stages of grief. We'll start off with this one. There's genuine interest at the beginning. Of course,
yeah.
Hi there, how you doing?
New guy, let's see.
My name's Mike. Nice to meet you. Okay, lovely. Oh, where you from? Oh, I'm from Rhode Island too. Yeah, okay.
Hey, wait, this isn't about me, is it?
Right. So it starts with genuine interest.
Of course, as it always does.
After a couple of holes of really bad golf, it then moves into disappointment.
A little moping.
Yeah.
Head down, like, okay,
There's no
point in giving you the read because you're not going to hit it there. You can't hit the yardage.
And you could kind of describe that as the golf's trash and the guy's not as cool as maybe I thought he was going to be.
Yeah, of course.
There's disappointment comes after the genuine interest. Then he moves into before we get to the sort of 9th hole, he's going into the pretending to care stage. Right, so
that can be a long stage too. That can last most of the day.
That could last your whole career.
You could, yes, it does sometimes.
And that lasts for a few holes because now it's just gonna have to dig deep and
scrape the barrel.
When you can't scrape the barrel anymore, it turns into anger.
Oh yeah.
As I say, the guy's ploughing on 13, 14 strokes. He wants to keep going. He's hacking up the fairway. The boy's replacing divots. When he shanks it to the right. Honestly, the guy's a hack, and he shanks it in 13, so he's even further from the cart path, and he wants the caddy to go back and get another club.
Jeez, get out of here.
So the anger was there. Then he moves on to give up. That's it. The next stage of grief is just to give up.
Kicking his towel down the fairway.
I watch him. He has so little interest in doing his job. It was brilliant, right?
Yeah.
He's now playing music on his phone, right?
Yeah.
That's when I knew that he was completely tapped out.
Checking the Uber report for later. Yeah.
He's got like the 15th, 16th, 17th hole. He's listening to music on his phone. And then we get to the final stage of acceptance, which was euphoric, right? He was the
we're
euphoria.
Almost there. We're done. And
he goes back to the typical full circle. He goes back to the genuine interest in the loop because he's nearly finished.
Tip time, you gotta feign some interest,
effort, and he's only 500 yards to freedom. A bit like Andy Dufresne going through the tunnel.
Scrape it out.
Andy Dufresne crawled through 5 football fields, So that was I came up with that, the stages of grief. It was brilliant to sit back and watch a caddy go from genuine interest to give up completely.
There is a lot of caddies like that too. We could go through some stories on caddies who do things like that.
Well, we did actually talk about a couple of future episodes about which will include that, excuses, lines.
Yeah, caddy excuses, player excuses.
We're gonna have a little break and we'll be back with mailbag questions. Mailbag questions and shoutouts, Zabbo.
Perfect.
All right, Mike. We're just talking about 152 episodes. That means there's 151 previous episodes. If you are new to the podcast, get back, have a listen. It's 6 or 7 years of absolute nonsense and some really good stories. Good laugh. Also, jump on the website.
Yeah.
Buys a beer if you like the hustle.
All that.
We'll give out a few mentions later.
Rate.
Yeah. Exactly. And
share with your friends.
Yeah, get on the all the social media. Just look for Glorified Donkey. So we have some questions here. First one. If you hit your tee shot short on a par 3 in the mode fairway, does that count as a fairway hit? We did have some debate about this, 50-50 on yes and no. Like to hear your take on it, or is there an actual rule? And that's from our favourite name of a podcast listener, Adolf Corona.
Adolf.
Adolf, I'd love to meet his parents and be like, what, when did you give up drugs?
How old is Adolf?
He's got to be 45 to 50.
Yeah, and that's past the time when his parents should have been naming him Adolf.
He is from Grand Junction, Colorado, and he owns a company called Pro Router LLC. I'm sure Pro Router.
Nice.
And you got to be watching that name.
I love that he sticks with the name too. Yeah, why wouldn't you? But Adolf, that is an actual rule of golf. It is. It does not count as a fairway. There's X's in, like, if you look at like the PGA Tour, there's an X to that column. You have 14 on a typical golf course that has 4 par 3s. You have 14 opportunities to hit the fairway. That's why you look at stats, it says, 5 for 14. When it's G playing, it's 1 for 14. When it's me playing, it's like 8 for 14. That's an actual stat. So yeah,
you've got some backbone. You've got some backbone in you. So,
but no, it is an actual stat.
Yours would be 0 for 9 because you played par 3 courses.
X for 9. They don't count. There's no fairways to hit. It's a par 3. You either hit the green.
So in 2 years, you haven't hit a fairway.
It's actually, good point. Good point. I have not.
So
way to give it back to me. Way to give it back. But Adolf, there is an actual rule there. It's
even if there wasn't a rule, anyone that's trying to claim a fairway, it's a par 3. There is no fairway.
Yeah, get out of here.
Yeah, you came up short.
Yeah,
you don't get rewarded for coming up short in a par 3.
Fridge. Good job.
Yeah, it's pathetic. You know what that is? That's guys that are asking for Is that good? No, it's not anymore because you begged for it.
Exactly. It must have been a lively debate you had with your friends about that one.
Oh, friends, it's a fairway. I can't remember the name of the course, but I'm sure he'll text me as soon as he listens to this. Remind me of the course name. It's very beautiful up there in Colorado. Mm-hmm. But
Bolingbrook, maybe.
Okay.
Love you, Dave.
Dump Muni. That's what you called it.
No,
you called it a dump.
I think a podunk, maybe not dunk.
But
dump.
Yeah, come on, boys. You can't be claiming.
Get out of here. It's not a fairway hit.
It's not a fairway, and if you make a par, if you have a hole in one in a par 3 course, it doesn't count. So, and I tell you what, I bet you of the 50% that says it is a fairway hit are the ones that are going to claim the par 3 course hole in one or on a simulator.
Well, yeah, when one's legit, one's not. You be this judge.
Yeah. Next one. I took your advice last year, and I'm taking my game way more seriously.
Did we give that advice? Who's this?
I am practicing once a week and playing twice a week. So I'm sure at some point we probably said if you want to take the game seriously.
Nice. Practice is important.
It might, practice might help.
Who sent this one in?
Well, hold on.
Okay, the question hasn't come yet.
This is the question.
Okay.
My game has improved 22.1 down to 14.7.
That's incredible.
So I am very happy. However, my girlfriend is not so happy and says that I am prioritizing golf over her. What impact has golf had on your personal life and relationships?
That's pretty funny.
Personal life it stunted my progress in the career department.
Very true.
I hit the ceiling very early.
Yeah.
I think if you come back steaming after a game of golf, the relationship is very much damaged.
Very true. Yeah, your emotions can carry over when you're hitting it bad and shanking it back into your home life. But I'm lucky because my wife is a golfer and a pretty good one at that, and she is very supportive of my golfing habit. Mm-hmm. And I'm practicing all the time again. It feels good. I'm going to start actually playing real golf courses pretty soon, I think.
This comes from a Tim Johns. He's St. Louis and Missouri.
Well, I'm glad you're getting better, Tim. That's incredible. 22 down to a 14 is incredible. And, I'd say, make her get used to you playing more. I mean, get out there 2 days a week and practice. Chip for an hour. Putt for an hour. Don't just hit balls, Mix it up. Put the headphones on. Maybe get some advice from a caddy walking by. But yeah, go out there and chip for an hour. Go out and putt for an hour and time it. Make sure you're getting that time in. Mm-hmm. Your handicap will come down even more. I guarantee it.
Mm-hmm. I don't know if my wife's a golfer or not. I've never asked.
That's a good one. I know you've said that before.
I love that one. Absolutely love that one.
But and you know what? You got to have hobbies. What are her hobbies, Tim?
Go and find a new bird, mate. Tim, you need to go and find a new bird.
Have this one support your habits. Yeah, they're healthy habits.
He's from St. Louis, Missouri. What's she do in the winter?
Exactly.
He's not going to be playing 3 times a week. He's not going to be practicing and playing twice a week in Missouri.
He'll spend some time with you from the months of December through early March.
Exactly. Yeah. That's it. Or find a new bird. Next one. This one comes from an S. Harris in Guildford. You know where that's at?
Guildford?
Guildford. It's actually Guildford.
Connecticut.
Yeah, it's actually Guildford, England, but hey.
It's Connecticut, though, right?
It is Connecticut. Yep. I'm getting ready to get back into golf. Good for you.
You and me both.
Join Zabbo in the journey. The season is well underway here in Guildford, Connecticut. I need to load up on golf balls. What brand and model do you recommend?
Anyone that I find.
Really?
I mean, what brand do I recommend?
Uh-huh.
I only I play the balls that I find. I haven't bought a golf ball in 2 decades, at least over 2 decades. But I don't know what I recommend. Troy Bumgarner and I did an experiment. This was like a decade ago. We joined Monterey Pines here, the local dump muni we have. Actually, the Pines is a really fun golf course, Monterey Pines. But so we were members there. We'd play every single morning at like 7 a.m. We'd breeze around, play 18 holes, and we would, for like a month straight, we played with a different ball every day. We would like play pinnacles. Our scores didn't vary at all, and that's back when Troy's still a good player. Back
I'd like
when
to
I could
see
play
the science.
too.
I'd like to see all of the data, please.
You'd be surprised. We were playing pinnacles. We were playing top flights. Like the scores didn't really vary at all. So play with whatever kind of ball you want to play with. Your score is not going to matter that much.
The caddy's doing an experiment. Come on. You make it
there
sound
was no
so official.
scientific data. We just went out and played golf, but our scores didn't vary. I'm telling you.
I don't know. I think that you want to go for as soft a ball as you can afford. I think Titleist and TaylorMade are overpriced. Typical.
Yeah.
A bit like a Rolex watch, for example. unless you're gifted it, of course.
Yeah.
But there's certain things that are overpriced. Mercedes cars are overpriced because of the branding, etc., etc. I think a Google Chrome, a Chrome
Soft?
Chrome Soft.
Yeah.
Callaway make a Chrome Soft.
It's a good golf ball.
Strixon.
Strixon makes a very good golf ball.
You guys would say Z-Star. I say a Z-Star. And also the Bridgestone. Nice soft one.
Bridgestone makes a good one. I tell you what, we should have another rematch. I'll play a Pinnacle. You play whatever you want. And I still think I'm going to beat you.
Okay, fine. Let's do it. We actually were due a rematch. One thing you don't want to do not buy pond balls off of eBay.
There's a lot of truth to that. Like ocean balls, pond balls that have been sitting there for a while, they do get waterlogged, and the flight is definitely different.
What happened, myself and another former caddy used to dredge ponds at unnamed golf course, and we would clean them, bleach them, and sell them on eBay. They looked brand new. We'd sell them as 4-star, basically brand new, but we would often get comments about the ball not flying as far as they would expect. And that'll tend to happen when a ball has been underwater for 1 month to
100%.
10 years, and we would say take it up with Titleist, contact the head
Exactly.
office.
Not my department, bro. I just fish them out of the pond.
I usually hit my drive 270. I'm hitting these balls that you sold me 190 off the tee, so not our problem.
Sorry about your luck.
So yeah, no, whatever you can afford. But I would go. I think Chrome Soft is a good ball. I think Z-Star by Strixon, really good. And if you like Zabbo, just take out anything.
Yeah, doesn't matter.
Next question: how do you guys approach a new course for the first time as a caddy and as a player? That's from a Drew McPherson in Sydney, Australia. Oh, it's a ripper.
A real ripper, Drew.
Oh, it's a real ripper there, Drew.
Yeah, if I'm going to be honest, Drew, I don't think I've played a new course in, I don't know, maybe a decade. I don't think I've played a new golf course that I haven't played in the last 10 years, really.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, where do I play that's new that I've never played before? I haven't tried. You know how many invites I have to play different, like, world-class golf courses, and I never travel to play them. At some point, I'm going to do that.
Take a day off?
Yeah, that's true. We were just talking about that during the break. If I'm here, I don't take days off. But I am starting to hit it more, and I do kind of have the feeling like I want to play golf. So I think maybe. But I think when I do, I try to get a yardage book. If I don't know what's out there, I would try to get a yardage book. Certainly a rangefinder, no carries on bunkers, know what's behind that bunker. It's important to know where certain things are. Runouts, do fairways. If you're a decent player, know how far you're carrying your driver, 3-wood, 4-iron, 3-iron. I mean, it's important to know those things and plot the golf course. Look at where especially if you're playing in competition, know where you want to hit it, know where your misses are. Where should you miss the shot? I mean, that is important.
That's very sage advice. Very sage advice for you, Drew. I would say that as a caddy and as a player, you should approach a new golf course the same way. If you are not within travel distance, I would probably go online.
Yeah.
have a look at that. Have a look at the score. What do they call it? The stroke saver.
The stroke saver
online. Most places have that, or you might even get a little drone flyover footage. Quite nice.
Actually, you mentioned that a podcast listener, Rich Burton, who is he's a legend for what he would do for his son. Like I caddied for his son for years. Bit of a hothead at time. He's Doug, my boy Doug, but he would do the Google flyovers, and he would like courses because I'd caddy for him at all these podunk golf courses that didn't have yardage books. He would do flyovers, and he would map out the GPS carries on all these and where the misses were. It was incredible. I have some of these yardage books. He printed them up from Google Maps. Rich, big shout out to you. That was amazing that you did that for him, and it definitely came in handy a handful of times.
I think as a caddy, you have to go and walk the course. You'd be an absolute fool to go to a new course even, and have no approach. Just walk on there. And there was actually, I'll tell you what, I may have mentioned this before, but there were some caddies that turned up here a couple of years ago from a course in the East Coast, or certainly a couple of thousand miles from here. I was put in contact with one of them by a regular of mine. He said, listen, this guy's coming out from my course for the summer. Can you help him out? Of course.
Yeah.
So this lad turns up. I says, here, I'm working these days. If you want to come and do some shadow loops, I'll show you around. Oh, no. I spoke to the other lads and they said it's pretty easy. So I'm just going to go straight out. And I thought, shame on the caddy company for allowing someone that's never seen a course to go straight out.
Yeah.
Shame on the caddy for not thinking or having the backbone, the brass neck to think, I'll just turn up on this course,
figure it out,
and ruin someone's experience.
Yeah.
And how about this? Maybe just meet up with me for a couple of beers and ask some questions about the course.
Yeah.
I would always find a local as well. If you can, speak to someone in the pro shop. Is there anything I should know? Where's the wind coming from? Is there anywhere that in particular the ball breaks to? That would be my sort of advice there. So if you have any questions, folks, email them in, podcast@glorifieddonkey.com, and then you can also send it in via social media. So, Michael, how about this one? Fan mail. We forgot about that for a while.
Oh, yes. Have we been getting many texts on?
Well, we got a few. We got a few things here.
Okay.
And I'll crack on with those before we do the shout outs.
Okay.
If you do want to send us a little fan mail, there's a link that you can follow. I know on Spotify and Apple, at the very top of the show notes for each episode, it says send the boys a text or something. So just click on there and you can actually send us a direct message.
Let us know what you think.
Somebody says, hello from Donegal. That was it. Short and sweet.
Donegal?
Donegal. Do you know what that is?
How do you spell it?
Donegal.
Is that Australia?
No, that would be Ireland.
Ireland.
You never caddy for somebody goes,
Donegal.
Oh, yeah. It's on Donegal.
Of course.
So, hello from Donegal. Well, hello to you. Couple of nice episodes with wee Mark keeping Big G in check. Okay.
Was this a family member of one of the two of you?
Well, it's someone from the UK.
Yeah. That's
also looking forward to hearing from Zabbo once he rewatches the great Kill Bill movies. Hashtag never going to happen. Hashtag talking pish.
What? I'm never going to rewatch them?
There you go. So,
dude, Quentin Tarantino is one of my favorite all-time directors.
Well,
I haven't watched Kill Bill in a while, but I've watched a lot of his other movies as of late.
I would believe that you did say you were going to rewatch. I should really rewatch those, and I think it could be 5, 6, 7, 8 weeks ago even.
Okay.
So,
well, I had some other series. Have you watched The Righteous Gemstones, by the way? Unbelievable.
Hashtag never going to happen.
It is.
Got another one here. Welcome back. This is from the same person in maybe a Betty Pounser. Is that
related to Dick Pounds, or
I don't know. Welcome back from the long respite. This was a while ago he sent this. Great show and looking forward to the new year of episodes. Cheers, Betty Pounser. And that's someone from Seattle, Washington. And he also sent another one and says, if Spyglass wasn't the bridesmaid of Pebble Beach, would it be in the running for hosting a major championship?
100%. Yeah, 100%. I think I had the somebody said it, that they heard from the USGA that said, if it wasn't for the big course, I mean, we're not going to come to the Monterey Peninsula to play Spyglass. Or if we're going to come here,
very few people do.
We're going to play. No, as far as majors, get out of here. As far as majors, There is a senior U.S. Open coming here in 2030 though to Spyglass. So look out.
Okay, I heard that they were looking at Bolingbrook, Adolph's course up in Grand Canyon before they were thinking about going to Spyglass.
Get out of here.
Next one. This was interesting. I don't know. Did I ever mention this one? A guy from this text from somebody in Springfield, Missouri. Jesse James was from Missouri. Do you know that?
I did not know that.
Why are there not more women playing the banding courses? Why would we not? Why would we know that? And why would we care?
You'd have to ask the women. Well, I think it's a lot to do with the amenities. Most women, it's tough to put them in boxes, but
no. I'm sure there's lots of men that put women in boxes before Zabbo.
But most women, they want the spa, they want the restaurants. You go up there, it's golf, and they're nice hotels, but it's not like luxury.
They need a bathroom.
Yeah.
I've heard that there are no bathrooms on the whole property at Bandon Dunes.
Just every man for himself. Sorry, ladies.
Take Mark and he's 51st. He'll be up there just hosing down the fairways.
The world is your pisser.
Find a new job. Find a new job. Right, we need to move on to our shout-outs. And I got a few here, actually. Okay. These are hole-in-ones. There's been a few hole-in-ones. First one, it was for a Brian Kelleher, BK. He's from San Francisco. I'm struggling to talk today. Struggling to talk today. Yeah, he's one of those, originally from New York. Yeah, he's from New York, Brian. He had a hole-in-one at the Presidio golf course, 152 yards. It was playing 140 downhill.
Nice.
He hit a 9 iron, 28 years playing without an ace. He's seen about a dozen in his lifetime between caddying and friends.
Awesome. Congrats.
He says he's a hack, 9.2 index. He was getting very close to taking a few months off because he'd been struggling so badly.
Been there.
Bogey golf, 45 in the front nine, 2 under back nine for a 79. First time breaking 80 in 4 years.
Awesome.
Stupid game. Does Zabbo feel shame hearing these stories?
Is this coming from you or him?
This is from him.
He says, does Zabbo feel shame hearing these stories?
His is 152 yards. Right. So yours was what, 42?
Yeah. So I would have shot 74 there, so sorry.
Also, another podcast listener, Ed Gore from Anchorage in Alaska, April 2nd. He was out at Desert Highlands in Arizona. It was the member guest practice round.
Dang. Oh, practice still. I mean.
Hole 15, 123 yards. He said it was a 2-club win, didn't his? Sure it was.
Is that his way of saying I had to hit my 8 iron?
Well, he's trying.
Did he say what club he hit?
Choked down in an 8 iron and hit a knockdown.
Well, great hole-in-one.
Yeah, sure.
Got to preface that.
It hit 3 feet past and spun back into the hole. I'm sure, of course it did, Ed.
Dead into the wind. Easy to spin them back.
It was the practice round before the member guest, and luckily the club had a hosted bar that day. Woo! Or either been in a very steep bar bill. Since 154 guys were at the bar.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I do know Ed, and trust me, I think he could probably afford the tab.
Well, congrats, Ed. Happy for you.
Now, another podcast listener who I caddied for.
Okay.
George, spelled Jeorghe, right? Romanian.
Of course it is.
I asked him, I'd forgotten he was Romanian, and I says, I was thinking about you the other day. I says, I was doing a crossword, and what's the old currency of Greece? And he's looking at me like, why would I know that? It's actually the drachma, right? I remember this from going on holiday. And I was like, when was the last time you went to Greece? He's never been. He's never Romanian. Sorry, pal. But I was caddying for him. We're a single, going out first thing in the morning. Mm-hmm. And it was on hole 14/15 at Spyglass, because it's a temporary.
He had a hole-in-one there?
So here's the thing. It's 112 yards. And he told me that he wanted. I told him I was struggling. Not struggling. I'm just not brilliant from 100 yards. That's what lets me down.
That's what you said?
Yeah. So and he says, here, throw a ball down and I'll show you. I'm like, you started playing golf 3 years ago.
He's going to teach you.
You're going to teach me. Yeah. Now, hats off to him. What he did say came straight from someone that teaches him. So it's not really his information, right? But I don't know if I'll use it. But you play with someone, a good player, really good player like Eddie, right? 100 yards, do. If you give him 14 opportunities from 100 yards, he's going to be making 8 birdies, isn't he? That's literally how good he is. I'm not. I might make 2.
Yeah.
And I might hit about 4 greens.
Mm-hmm.
So there's no one out there. It's a temporary green, kind of. It's a real green, but it's a temporary hole.
Yeah. They converted the 14th green to a par 3 green.
So we threw a bunch of balls down, hit them. He hit his first one. I then gave him a tip. He hits the next one,
makes it,
and as soon as it landed, I went, "That's in the hole," and he makes it 112 yards. So
that doesn't
second
count.
ball. This is good 3.
Yeah, doesn't count.
And on a future episode, we need to argue. We're arguing about a thing about the 12 o'clock rule that I tell people. And he was trying. I said, "Listen, you've been playing the game 3 years. I've been doing this all my life."
Yeah,
but I'll explain that. There's a bunch of other shout outs and people buying his beers, but I want to get onto your shout outs because we don't want to go over our time allocation.
I just have a few. I got to shout out Ryan May. Caddied for him for 3 days. He was a very fun guy to be around, and it's crazy how golf works. He's a decent player. He's like a 4 handicap, and he was playing good for like a day and a half. And then completely lost it, like dead shank and everything. It was hard to watch.
Hang about you,
I guess so, but I didn't really tell him about my woes, and he had his own. But man, he reeled it back in for the big course, and we had a lot of fun. Also, I got to shout out my wife. Today is her birthday. So happy birthday! She's at the spa, which she richly deserves. And I also got to shout out my daughter. Last podcast, we were talking about par 3s and how my daughter made a birdie and hole-in-ones and how it didn't count. And she happened to be on in my car for whatever reason, and she heard her name and she got real excited. So got to shout her out the other day. Actually, I'm very proud of her. We were my wife was out of town on a business trip. I was actually. Funny you say that. I said, Gene, Mom's out of town. Why don't we go get a bite to eat? She's like, yeah. I was like, well, what do you want? I'll give you some options. I was like, we can go to Panda Express, we can go to Poke House, we can go to Chipotle. She's like, Chipotle. I'm like, that's my girl.
Real top class nutrition, Zabbo, nice one.
We went to Chipotle. Yeah,
well done.
Shout out to you, Gene.
Perfect. Well, thank you very much, Michael. We will be back in 2 more weeks where we're doing a lot of jobs together in the next 2 weeks. We're going to be a lot more regimented, no more 3-week gaps. We've got to bring it every 2 weeks and be much better about like you're practicing.
Correct.
Podcast with purpose. And to our listeners, previous 151 episodes, get out and listen to it if you haven't. But until the next time, get out, enjoy your golf, but more importantly,
keep it humble.